welcome to another streak-free episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel. I am one of your hosts. I'm a Tiny Habits certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach. I've lost over 100 pounds and kept it off for over 7 years. And with me today is streak-free
Donald Weigel, and I have lost about 100 pounds, kept it off for about 7 years, and we are here to talk about it.
We are here to talk about it. And speaking of streaks, this is episode 375. 375.
Yeah.
We, so far, have never missed a week of recording this podcast in 7 years.
That's true.
That's a lot.
I know. Like when you say it like that, yeah.
That's a lot of commitment. That is streakful.
Yeah.
That is streakful. But to let you behind the cloak of the dagger, no.
The cloak of the dagger.
The cloak of the dagger.
That's
let
what
you
they
behind
say.
the curtain. The
Yes.
curtain. We sometimes record more than one episode at a time. I mean, right now we're recording one episode, but we might record another episode right after this. So it's not like we're doing it like the Sunday night just before the episode comes out. Like it's not like the Flintstones where there's like a little...
You think the Flintstones recorded one a week?
No,
they drew one episode a week?
No, like they like if they had the record player, they would have like a little bird.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Use their beak as the whatever. It's not like we're just putting it out live before a studio audience.
Well, and here's another thing. This is a very rare evening episode.
It is. You're getting nighttime.
We are recording this in the evening. Normally, we record these early morning. I would say this is episode 375, as we said. What would you say? We've recorded less than 10.
I was going to say less than 5 in the evening.
Less than 5. I was going to say about a half a dozen.
Yeah, let's see if the listeners can tell this is not peak Katherine.
Normally, it's like in the morning when we're fresh.
Yeah.
This one is in the evening when we're stale.
Well, this ready.
Is a stale episode.
I was ready at 4 a.m. when I woke up this morning.
Yeah.
So now it is 5 p.m. So you're getting like if there was a freshness, like baked fresh at whatever time. Like I maybe should be taken off the shelf at this point because I'm 13 hours old.
Like we have like the sign lights up. It says like podcast is fresh.
Podcast is fresh.
Yeah.
Like
that sign is off.
I've been under a heat lamp for about 13 hours.
That sign is very much off.
You're going to get what you get. But so the other thing we had to sort of start over because, again, you would think after talking for 13 hours being awake, be able to do this. But the other opener I was considering was Up the Streak Without a Paddle episode.
Oh, I like it.
But I couldn't say it, so I didn't say it. But I don't call creeks, I call them cricks. So then it would have been Up the Strick Without a Paddle, which again, it's not going to work.
I don't know where else they do that, but in New Jersey, USA, they say crick instead of creek.
Yeah, it was like Dawson's Creek. Like there was no
really
crick,
weird.
There was a creek. But anyway, most of us know streaking from two different things. Again,
the 1970s.
Neither of which we're going to talk about.
Occasionally sporting events. There was that one guy at the Oscars.
Yeah, and David Niven. Anyway, okay. So one is the streaking of glass.
Oh yeah.
Choosy moms choose Jif. Choosy moms also want a streak-free finish on every mirrored surface.
No, you have to use the right glass cleaner.
You are
or you get streaks.
Lesser wife if you have streaks. And I literally just looked up streak-free, like glass, whatever. I've been doing it all wrong. 50 years.
Wait, what?
When I was a baby, when I was washing windows.
I married a streaky wife.
You did. So
wow.
So, okay, two things came up. You tell me which one you want to do. Okay.
Yeah.
Plus, they're both exhausting, but hold on. Okay, so I looked up streak-free windows. There were two options. The first was 6 steps to streak-free windows.
Yeah.
That was exhausting. I was like, I'm out. It's usually just Windex and a paper towel, which is not what you're supposed to do. I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, but the very next article, which I think they buried the lead, 5 steps.
Oh.
To windows. Like, which are you going to choose? The 5 steps or the 6 steps?
No, I only want to have to do 5 steps.
Holy moly. Like, I barely want to do 5, but it's almost a relief. Like, when you think you're getting an hour detention and then it's only 30 minutes, you're just like, yes, okay, it's fine.
Exactly.
I'll do my time. Okay, so the streak-free glasses, I did not look at how to do that because there were too many words. I don't need 6 steps for anything.
No.
But, okay, and then the other one, like Donald was kind of leading with, was all the rage in the 1970s. Everybody was getting naked on the quad, running around.
Yeah.
These are the leaders. These are the boomers that are maybe a late boomer.
Yeah.
Late boomers.
I guess
if you're in college,
been about right. Late boomer.
Yeah. In 1974, it became very popular, which is the year of my birth, which is maybe why I was born.
Yeah.
Because everyone was running around naked everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
People would like in the middle of sporting events, they'd get out in the field or they'd run through a campus. Or
there were online. There were lots of examples of actual official clubs for universities for streaking. Like, it's very strange. I don't understand.
It's a very different time.
Okay, but the article that I found explaining what streaking is, again, usually naked through a public area for publicity, for fun, as a prank, a dare, or to participate in a fad. Okay. It can occur in secluded areas, but mostly public. And it said streakers are often pursued by sporting officials or the police. So that's how you can tell. If you see a sporting official running, like an official running or a police person running,
it's pursued by those. Yes.
Yeah. And usually the Benny Hill music is also playing. So anyway. Yeah. I think, ladies do it too. Ladies, if you're out there and you're streakers, super duper for you. But I feel like it's a bro thing. Like, it's a lot of guys, I think, start it. So anyway, what do you think, Donald? Do you think guys start it?
Yeah, I think guys start it. And anytime I've seen a streaker at a sporting event, it's always been a dude. On TV or whatever.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Yay for body positivity. It's not for me. But yay for them for doing that. So, okay. So now you're like, there's no more streaking to talk about. We talked about as many streaks as there are in the world. But guess what?
No, you finished it.
Okay.
That's it. That's the end of the podcast.
Okay,
We talked about streaking.
I will say that there is some sort of streaking in microbiology, but I'm not even going to go down that path.
Wow, I don't know about that.
It's crazy. And there's geology. They all got streaking. But the one we're going to talk about is related to health and fitness and being consistent with your habit goals. Fun!
Oh, I get it. Like you have a streak. Like you do something multiple times in a row.
Look, we're getting to the point, everybody. Hello and welcome to We Only Look
It's only
Thin.
47 minutes into the podcast and we're already getting to the point. It's a new. See, this is evening us.
Yeah, you're
getting to the point way faster than normal.
I don't know. I don't even know how many minutes we've been recording, but it's probably we've probably been talking for a while.
It's about 8.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. It's fine. Yeah. It's good for us. Yeah. So streaks are used in habit formation in so many different ways to sort of gamify sticking to a habit, whether it is that jerky little owl on Duolingo telling you that you've hit streaks, or even
that owl is such a jerk.
He's like, oh, you didn't do it today, I'm gonna cry.
Oh, you made Duolingo cry.
Yeah, you're responsible for your own feelings. Okay, yeah. But Wordle, I think, also has a thing for streaks. A lot of social media apps have streak incentives. Maybe you level up.
Most of those New York Times puzzles. Well, I don't know. I only do 2 of them. They have streaks. Yeah.
Well, you had a streak on some website for almost a year, and then it broke one day when we were on vacation.
Microsoft has a you can earn points, and you can redeem them for gift cards and things.
It's like Camel Cash, but for Google's.
Exactly, and the more you search with them. So there was a series of 3 things you have to do every day to earn maximum points. And I had a streak of over a year, and then we went to visit some friends one night, and I broke it, and I was crushed.
Bereft. He was bereft.
I hadn't missed in over a year, and I was crushed.
Yeah, and for me, some people are motivated by streaks, which we will talk about it. But for others, there are definitely some drawbacks. It can be a great way to kind of get you started in focusing on your health goals. But we're not here for streaks. We're here for making our lives better through sustainable habits. But streaks aren't bad for everyone. Again, Donald was really motivated for a year. I know on apps like Lose It, they give you kudos and celebration for hitting tracking streaks. I know a couple of people who have tracked over 1,000 days consecutively, which is really cool. But we're not here necessarily just for the streak. Like, no one's going to be like, oh my gosh, you look so streak today. Like, how much have you been streaking? That's not what people notice unless you're running down the quad in the buff.
Exactly.
But streaks can be motivating, but they can also kind of get away from you and make you a little bit obsessive. So we are going to talk about the pros and cons of using streaks on your health journey venture. And then we're going to give you some alternative ways to look at your streaks to maybe manage them. Because really, like, are you going to do a streak of something for like thinking about it for a week or two? Like, okay, yeah, like I can do something for 14 days.
Right.
But telling yourself that for the next 10 years, you're going to do something every single day without missing doesn't really take into account our actual lives. So we're going to, again, do the pros and cons, and then we're going to give you some ideas of how to kind of make the streaks work for you instead of you being chained to your streak.
Okay, so we are going to start with some pros of focusing on streaks. And the first pro is habit formation. And streaks help in developing habits, which is essential for long-term health changes. If you repeat the same actions, you can sort of, turn them into automatic behaviors over time. Now, there's that myth, if you do something like 21 days in a row, it like becomes a habit. Like that's been, myth busted many, many times. So there is no magic number for what makes something a habit, but, a streak can help you form that. And, likewise, going hand in hand, another thing is increased consistency. When you track streaks, it can help you build consistency by encouraging you to complete small actions every day, like exercising or eating healthy.
Exactly. And I think part of that too is seeing, and I'm a visual person. This is why I do a podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Is seeing that visual progress is really motivating and inspiring. So I love stickers. Who doesn't love a good sticker?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Donald
I do love a good sticker. I do. Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
I just don't like. I don't have any great places upon which to put stickers, or I would have like. I get stickers in my Instagram feed, like people trying to sell me stickers all the time. And
you're on the sticker and the lentil sticker
corner of the internet. I go down the rabbit hole of like browsing stickers online all the time.
What?
If I had somewhere to put them, like I just don't know what to do with them.
Gosh,
like I could get a notebook, I guess, and just stick them in there. I don't know.
Pouch full of stickers that I use all the time anyway, so visually looking at a calendar and doing that like giant check mark off on the calendar of how many days you've done something, or stickers on a habit chart or something like that can be really incentivizing. Again, that streak is a tangible reminder that you're committed and you're having progress, and it can be really motivating to see, and I think there is even an app like Don't Break the Chain, which is one of those.
Which I used to have that app, and like we're talking about the pros of a streak, but I stopped using it because anytime I would break a streak, it kind of like the app started making me feel bad.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like that if I just missed one day or one whatever of something that suddenly like I had this gap on my app, and it, was making me feel kind of bad about it.
Yeah, but we'll talk about the cons later. Right now it's about the good stuff. So again, visual progress. I love adding those stickers up. It looks so beautiful. And again, it is a positive reinforcement. So that feeling of accomplishment each day when you add to your streak can boost confidence and reinforce healthy habits. So again, a lot of this is about building that routine. Like Donald said, it doesn't take 21 days to build a habit or whatever. It is about working and designing your life in a way to support the habits that you want to do. And some days it's really easy to have a habit in place, but others, like when you're away from home or somebody's sick, suddenly when your routine changes, your ability to keep that streak going can be compromised. So Donald, why don't you lead us off with a few of the cons related to streaks?
Well, the first one is burnout. And the pressure to maintain a streak can lead to burnout, especially if you're pushing yourself too hard. Or, as Catherine just mentioned, if life events get in the way of your ability to maintain a streak, people come to town, you go out of town. Even something like you take a day off from your job in the middle of the week for some reason, or for a doctor's appointment or something, like can throw off a streak, and the burnout of the pressure of that can be a problem.
Well, and I think too, as part of that, a lot of workout programs are 30-day programs.
Yeah.
And I was following along one of the Cassie Ho series back in the day. And by the last day, or like by Friday of the first week, I was exhausted and sore. And the idea of having to do it Saturday and Sunday, and then again for another 25, 30 days,
right,
was just like, this is impossible. So I made a decision to skip the weekends, but it feels like if you don't comply that you're a failure. There's actually one fitness program called 75 Hard, which is literally you have to do 5 different tasks a day for 75 days. And literally, if you miss even one of the prescribed 5 daily tasks, you have to go all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
It's gross. And some people like that, intense, mean focus. It motivates them, but that's not my vibe, man.
Yeah, it's like when we used to play Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo Wii, there weren't like a whole lot of like places to save the game.
Yeah.
And there's times like, I want to say, maybe I'm making that up, but I want to say like we'd be on level 2 or 3, you and I would be playing together, and we would like fail, and we'd have to go all the way back to the first level and like play the whole thing over again.
Right. And then it's exhausting, and you just feel like,
I was like, oh man, like couldn't we just go back a little bit of the way and keep going?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
See, it turns out that it applies to many parts of life.
Exactly.
Good job. Okay, so the next con is neglecting quality over quantity. So you focus solely on maintaining a streak, and it might encourage you to prioritize frequency over the quality of your actions. Again, so you just get in a bad workout just so that you get it over with, even if you're tired. Like you don't give yourself that rest. You just push yourself, and then maybe you even injure yourself, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But it's promising yourself that you're going to, go for a run every single day, and you're not into it, and it's raining and whatever, and you just kind of slog through it and hate doing it. Like hating what you do isn't a really great motivator to get things done. It keeps you really inflexible.
No, and another con of streaks is guilt and frustration, which kind of reminds me. There was a band called James that had a bit of a hit with a song called "Born of Frustration." It's like guilt and frustration, anyway.
I don't know
if there's any James fans out there, but I'll link to it in the show notes. It's worth checking out. Anyway, but if you miss a day or you break a streak, and we've already mentioned this a few times, it can create negative feelings of guilt, frustration, or discouragement, and it can lead to abandoning your goals altogether. So, that thing I was talking about with Microsoft, where you do the 3 different like search things every day. Like I had done it every day for over a year, and when I broke that streak, I stopped doing it for a while. I didn't even want to face it. And I know it's not like a health goal. It wasn't even that important, but it made me feel so bad about it. But I've had that problems with things like, we were talking about the Break the Chain app, or the even on the Lose It app, which I love. Like I don't love that like you push that complete the day button and it gives you that streak. Like I don't love that about it. I would rather just look at my progress over time rather than, realizing that, oh, you've only done it for 2 days in a row now.
Well, and I think too, looking at streaks as losing a pound a week as a streak, like, oh, I've lost a pound a week every single week. And then suddenly you're up a pound. That streak of weight loss is behind you. And then you feel like, well, why bother? Right? Like if I'm gaining weight, why am I even doing this? And it doesn't account for those fluctuations in your body, like we've talked about before. And so I think when you get to the point where you feel like you've broken a streak, that whole like idea of just snapping something in half. It's like you have all this momentum, you have, the energy, and then something happens and you break that streak. Like Donald said, people can just stop altogether. I quit Duolingo and it started sending me these like, you made Duolingo sad. And our daughter actually said she stopped using Duolingo because she's like, well, the streak's broken, so why bother?
Well, it's a classic example. She had done it like a whole bunch of days in a row. I can't remember how long. And then she missed the streak and then basically like almost immediately quit doing it at all. And like, I was really sad about it because it seemed like, oh, this is great. Like she's going to learn a language doing it. But like missing that 1 day streak was really deflating.
Well, and I think a lot of programs that people do, whether you're doing Weight Watchers or calorie tracking or even, tracking macros or cutting out sweets, we feel like we go back to zero, like that almost like, oh, well, you didn't track points this weekend, so the Weight Watcher police are coming to get you, and now your badge has been taken away. Like
it's like Scott Pilgrim, like the vegan police come take them away because one guy drank some cream in his coffee by accident. Yeah,
but that sort of punishment for non-compliance is a really a huge demotivator. I know it is for me. So, and that sort of ties into the overemphasis on perfection, right? If I can just do this 100%, then I will be worthy. Then, it proves my commitment. So streaks often create a mentality where it's all or nothing, which can be really harmful. Again, that like, am I doing everything perfectly? And if not, maybe that's just proof that I'm not cut out for this. If I was really serious about my weight loss, I would comply 365 days a year, every single meal. I wouldn't let injury get in the way. I wouldn't let travel get in the way. If I really wanted this, it would mean that I was consistent. But that's like, what have you done every single day of your life perfectly? We have to allow, or I'll get to that later. I'm not going to tell you what you have to do. Never mind. I'll just be quiet. Donald, never mind. I'll save it for later. Spoiler. What is the next one?
Another con is that it only is good for short-term focus, or it usually is only good for short-term focus. If you focus on streaks, it tends to be more about doing something in the short term. As Catherine just said, like, what have you done perfectly for your whole life? Rather than focusing on long-term well-being, you're just focusing on keeping that short-term streak going.
Right. And if you go in short bursts, it can be really helpful, to get that, again, that initial momentum. But considering it for the long term is not a great idea. And the last one we're going to talk about is possibility of injury. I cannot tell you how many times I was sick or injured, and I was just like, I'm just going to push through. I've got to go and get my workout in, even though I've got the flu. If I don't get in my 20 minutes of cardio, then I'm a garbage person and I don't deserve to eat. I also, so in that sense, not letting yourself rest is really dangerous. And then another, again, that compulsion to want to hit your step goal every day, want to close all your rings, whatever. There was that one fateful night in February of 2015 where I wanted to hit my 10,000 step goal and was walking around in flip-flops at 11:55 at night trying to hit my goal, ended up twisting my ankle.
Yeah.
Like it was in a prison yard at midnight, basically trying to hit my step goal. That was not the spirit of the law. Like that like marching at midnight is not helpful. And what it did literally was got me off my feet for 6 weeks because I twisted my ankle and it hurt. I stopped wearing my Fitbit. This was February of 2015. literally took me until January of 2016 to put my Fitbit back on and try again. What would have happened if I had just not hit my step goal that day and been satisfied with 9,500 steps? Like maybe I wouldn't have injured myself. Maybe I would have kept going, but I just saw it as non-compliance and failure and injury and proof that I just am not someone who gets in steps.
So we are going to now focus on some alternative ideas to focusing on a streak to get past that streak all or nothing mentality. And the first thing that you can do is plan on having pauses in your streak.
Huge.
Like, think of it sort of like, I was talking about Super Mario Brothers. You've got 3 or 4 lives or something like that. Well, you don't have to even limit it to 3 or 4, but you break, in air quotes, break a streak. I don't even like saying break a streak. You miss a day of doing something. You can continue on the next day and you use your extra life, and it's like the streak was never broken in the first place, at least in your mind.
And Duolingo actually has streak pauses built in. Would you like to pause for a day or two? Because they recognize that you're going to skip and they don't want people to, until later when they tell you you're a garbage person. They tease you with a couple of pauses for your streaks. And I found it really helpful.
So be realistic with your streaks and work in plan, rest, or pause days. It's a great way to reduce the pressure on yourself to be, completely on 365 days a year. So, look honestly at your calendar and make a note of days when you have events that are going to impact your streak. So, for example, let's say you have a daily 10,000 step goal. And, you have to work late to meet a work deadline, or you'll be in airports all day traveling to see family. So pausing your streak on those sorts of days makes sense rather than pressing yourself to hit a goal at all costs. So have a backup plan for atypical days. On days I have to work late, I'll focus on getting up from my desk once an hour to stretch my legs for a few minutes.
You're really good at that.
Or one thing I do at work is I'll go to, when I have to go to the restroom, I'll go to a different floor, so that I know I'm at least getting some movement out of it by walking up or down some stairs.
Yeah.
If I'm going to travel, I'll sneak in steps while I'm waiting for my flight, and I'll gamify my steps by trying to outpace people using the moving walkways and things like that.
Yeah, those suckers, those standabouts. No,
right.
I don't actually think that anymore because sometimes it's not practical. But again, that giving yourself that flexibility of I'm not going to hit it. I don't have to march up and down the plane, as it's in flight, trying to get in my 10,000 steps for a 5-hour flight. So those are great ideas, Donald.
Why, thank you. You also wrote a lot of them.
Okay, so the next is, and this was a big one for me, and I do this in so many areas of my life, I focus on weekly or monthly averages rather than precise daily goals. So again, if your step count goal is 10,000 steps a day, realistically, looking at, we live in weeks, really, if we think about our lives, if your goal is 70,000 steps a week, so that's an average is 10,000 steps a day. But realistically, that maybe you're a lot more active on the weekends and your commute during the week doesn't allow you to get in your 10,000 steps regularly. So preparing yourself and thinking, okay, some days I get 7,000 steps, but on the weekends I often get 13,000 steps.
Yeah.
And so in the end, it averages out to 70,000 steps a week. Same thing with your calorie target. There are some people who thrive on eating the precise same number of calories every single day. But being able to look at a weekly calorie target will allow for weekends where maybe you indulge a little bit more and then you cut back during the week. And maybe you eat at a deficit a few more days and then maybe you eat at maintenance a couple of days, but it averages out to a deficit. So that for me can really help. And then another way to look at averages is instead of thinking of hitting 31 out of 31 days, which again, might not be practical. Look realistically at your calendar and consider how many days you could realistically do it. So, oh gosh, I've got travel on this day. We've got people in town. I'm probably not going to do it. You know what? Last month, I only hit my target 15 out of 30 days. This month, I would love to bump that up to 23, 24 days. So you're increasing your average number of days on track, which again can give you a little bit more flexibility. And if you exceed that, super. But by reducing the pressure on yourself to comply every single day, you're increasing your likelihood of not giving up. So consider this. If it's the beginning of the month and you're like, okay, I have a tiger, I'm on it. And then on day 3, you've already missed a day because you had a flat tire and you couldn't get to the gym. Do you just say, well, I got to start over. I guess I'll start in April when the month is free from problems.
Yeah.
Right. So being able to go, oh, what good luck. I didn't expect perfection of myself. I can step back my expectation and still see it as a success. So
then you'll be the April Fool. I
my
don't
gosh.
know. So let's forget that I said that, and move on to the third option, or a third option, would be to focus on your identity.
This is a big one.
Instead of trying to be the I'll never miss a day person, focus on your identity as someone who cares about their health. Like, I identify as someone who loves feeling strong, and strength training makes me feel great. From time to time, I miss a workout, but I will get right back on track. And that was a huge breakthrough for me, coming up with that sort of mindset. My Fitbit battery died and it didn't track my 2-mile hike. I may as well just sit down and never get up again, throw the Fitbit into a gorge, and just lay here until the coyotes come.
Year 1 of our fitness journey venture, there were times where I would be standing in the living room not wearing my Fitbit, and I refused to walk until Donald brought me my Fitbit. And there were times when maybe your Fitbit died or you forgot to put it on. And again, it was almost as bad as missing your Google streak.
It's like, why am I bothering doing this when I'm not getting credit for it? And look, we're at a point now where that seems silly and we've gotten past it. But, I'm not doing this to get credit for steps. I'm still getting the steps, even if my Fitbit isn't recording them. I'm doing it because I love how it makes me feel when I consistently get that movement. Or, maybe you're somebody who wants to get outside and you say, I'm doing it because I love getting out in nature and I love being with friends. I mean, that's not me. I don't love being with friends. But maybe you do. Maybe you're one of those people. But I always feel more refreshed. I always feel better about life after a great hike or a walk.
Well, and I think too the idea of hey, do you want to go on a hike? No, my Fitbit is charging. Well, could you still go on a hike? I said what I said. I don't know why we're still talking right now. I can't do anything. But
that should be end of conversation.
I remember when my mindset started shifting and I was like, oh, yeah, I go for walks. Sometimes I get credit. Sometimes I don't. Oh, I go swimming and I'm not wearing my Fitbit. That's okay. I'm a person who feels best when she works out. So for me, it was a big shift. And it actually was one of those non-scale victories of, I'm not doing this for credit. It's almost that thing of what you do when no one is looking is what really matters.
Right.
And when big man Fitbit isn't, isn't watching your steps, just doing it because that's what you do. That's where the real power, I think, comes in. And
get steps like no one's watching. Is what
I would not dance. I don't want to dance when people are watching, when people are not watching. It is not good. Okay, so another alternative to streaks is tracking progress over time. So rather than tracking daily streaks, track overall progress over the weeks and months. So, for example, note improvements in strength, endurance, or frequency. So this helps you focus on gradual progress instead of daily perfection. So the Couch to 5K program that I did was in 6 weeks, you'll be running 30 miles, or it's not 30 miles, it's whatever a 5K is. I don't even remember what it is.
Yeah.
But I remember it took me from May until October to complete the Couch to 5K.
Yeah.
So instead of feeling like a failure because I didn't comply with the program completely, I did it at my pace. I was consistent. I did smaller intervals. And if you pay attention to the progress of, wow, at first I couldn't even jog for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Now I'm jogging for 10 minutes. That is a huge improvement. Again, the same thing with the number of reps that you can do for doing push-ups or your weights for resistance training. Wow, I started with 2-pound weights and now I'm up to 5-pound weights. Like, you can mark those as victories over that streak. Okay, so another way to look at it is I used to get winded going up even one flight of stairs. And now I park on the 5th floor of the parking garage at work. And now I'm able to go up the stairs every single day after work without getting winded. That is a real life success, not streak related, but actual physical improvement related. So I think that is a really big motivator for me, I know.
Yeah, and the last strategy that we're going to present on this episode, instead of focusing on streaks, is to focus on the quality of what you're doing rather than the quantity. Meaning, do what you can and really make it count when you do it, rather than just trying to get in a lackluster
like slog,
something every single day. Like, do something that's really meaningful and varied and interesting to you and keeps you interested and motivated and makes you feel satisfied when you're done, rather than just, keeping it arbitrary and getting bogged down with all the things we talked about, the burnout and the guilt and the frustration of not keeping your streak alive. But, it is better to do a quality 5-minute something than a low quality 30-minute something, or it is much better to do a very high quality something 2 days a week than it is to do a low quality something like, all 6 or 7 days a week. I almost said all 6 days a week, well, all 7 days a week.
I remember when we used to go to the gym down the street, there was a woman who would always be on the recumbent bike, like reading and like doing her nails and barely pedaling. I mean, she looked like she was just like, I'm putting in my time.
Yeah.
It's like, this is community service. I have to sit on this thing for 30 minutes instead of 5 minutes of like, upbeat, vigorous activity. It was like, I'm just going to watch my program and then I can go home again. So again, not judging anyone for a slow pace, but getting in a meaningful short workout feels a lot better than just feeling like you're trying to tick, you're counting down the clock until you're released from San Quentin, which I think is a prison
yes.
of your own making.
Well, and I think that we get sort of caught up in the idea of, and I know this isn't exactly streak related, but we get caught up in the idea that like my doctor says it has to be 30 minutes a day. And so we don't do anything rather than just trying to do, 5 minutes when we can or 30 minutes when we can. If it's not 30 minutes every day, maybe it's 30 minutes like consistently a few days a week, or, maybe it's 5 minutes every day. And we're doing something rather than just saying, well, if I can't do 30 minutes every day, I'm going to do nothing.
You bring up a really good point, because the idea of 5 steps to clean windows is like, that's even too much. But like, maybe if I could find 3 or like half a window or stuff, like there's got to be a smaller
I'd just frankly
increment.
rather have streaks than have to do 5 whole steps.
Who is telling us that streaks are not what we should have? I like streaks. It's great.
Exactly.
But really, it is important for us in all of this. And I think part of being a Tiny Habits certified coach is recognizing that we have the ability to design our lives and our health goals to fit our actual lives, not our ideal selves, not when all of, the chaos of whatever is going on in our life is over. There's always going to be things that get in our way. And that is what life is. And the more we are able to adapt and pivot, the better we are at being consistent with our health goals. Sure, streaks can be really a great launching pad for building a new habit. Getting those shiny stickers, putting them in place shows that you are committed to your goals. But recognizing that when, and perhaps this is kind of where the shift is, recognizing those moments where you feel like you have to comply to your streak, like you are serving it instead of it serving you.
Yeah.
That's the point when we look at alternatives. So again, as you're looking at the weeks ahead, what days might it not be realistic to hit your streak? How can you adapt your goals to look at weekly or monthly averages or percentages instead of compliance every single day? Again, look at your identity. I am a person who cares about her health, and that means that I invest every single day as much as I can, but that doesn't look the same every day. Some days I make fresh salads. Some days I eat frozen meals. Some days, most days I hit my step goal, but I know that I will have days that I don't, and that is okay. I don't let off days defeat me, because I recognize that what I do most of the time matters more than what happens some of the time.
Absolutely.
And focus on that quality over the quantity. If you're doing something like this morning, I did an arm workout with Cassie Ho, and I was like, okay, 1, 2, 3. And I shifted and I was like, use your friggin' muscles, like show up. You're like, this is your life. It felt so much better leaning into it than slogging through. And no one is forcing you to do this. No one is going to care about your health, your posture, your weight, your fitness levels as much as you do. We are here on a voluntary basis. Like, we have enlisted in taking care of our bodies because we care about them. And we deserve to really lean into the identities of people who feel good about themselves and put in the effort that they can each day. That's not going to look the same each day. So again, streaks are a great launching pad. They're a great place to start and kind of, get the wheels turning. But we are people who care about our bodies. No one is going to care about our health like we do. No one is going to care about our weight, our fitness level, like we can care about our fitness levels. It's not going to say on my gravestone, born in whatever, died here, and had a streak of 750. Like,
Right.
what is a streak? Like, that's not going to be on my resume. Like, she was fit, she was healthy, she was flexible, she was independent. Those things matter more than the number of, days on an app judging you. So again, use streaks if they feel motivating, but shift if they are starting to feel like a punishment. So again, collecting data is really great to use for future months, for record keeping. But again, don't be a victim to the streaking app. Make sure that you are doing this because it is an investment that you care about for yourself.
And thank you so much for making an investment in yourself by listening to this podcast. We are grateful. As we said, this is episode 375. So there are 374 other ones out there. And the most recent 300 of them are available on all of the major podcast platforms, wherever you found this one, or you can go all the way back to the very first episode on YouTube or anytime at our website at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep. And if you are on our website, click on that link for Join Our Support Group to find out more about Wold Place. We Only Look Thin Place is our Facebook-based accountability group for women. But not only are we a Facebook group, there's lots of opportunities for daily connection, I also host Zoom meetings 4 or 5, maybe 6 times a month. They are great places to connect, get coaching, go into deep dives on so many different conversations and topics. So if Facebook isn't really the place that you love to hang out, the Zoom meetings are invaluable. Like, having that much time to really focus on yourself and connect with other people on their weight loss journey ventures is just, I'm super proud of myself and everyone in the group. So come on in, give us a try. We've got 2 subscription options, a monthly subscription with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if Wold Place is right for you. So please do check us out.
Yeah, and you're really not going to find that kind of personal personalized, direct weight loss and fitness coaching anywhere else. Certainly not for the amount of money that we are charging for it. So please go check it out. Also, you can check us out on social media. We are on Facebook and Instagram at We Only Look Thin. Or you can email us if you have a question, if you have an episode suggestion, if you want to give us some thoughts on streaks that we didn't address in this episode. You can do all of those things, or just give us a shout out, give us some compliments, say hello to weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep, and if you have a couple of extra minutes, do head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review. Not only does it let us know that what we are doing after 375 episodes is still connecting with listeners, but it also helps other people find our podcast. So we've had we're almost at 2 million downloads, I think, or we're getting close to it.
Yeah, it's like almost like 1,800,000, something like that.
So we know that there are listeners out there who haven't made the connection yet and given us those stars. Please do it. Whatever app you use, leave us ratings, reviews. It really does help. And it lets us know, again, really that after all these years, we're still making a difference.
Absolutely. And another thing you could do that would really help us out would be to just tell somebody about the show. If you're in a conversation, if you know somebody who might get something out of it, if you are on the interweb and you are in a Facebook group, a Discord server, a subreddit, and it makes sense to give us a shout out, it really does help the show grow.
It sure does.
So even though Catherine and I are often pursued by sporting officials or the police, just remember that we're also an inspiration.
I'm actually a never nude, so it's never going to happen.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.